Do you like the idea of a retro-futuristic design for a car? A future roadster? Now that'd be cool. What if it offers a 500 kilometers range too? Believe it or not, that's gonna happen soon. A retro German automaker has gone out in front of the pack with its own fully electric roadster, despite several major automakers having hinted that some of their biggest successes would be making a comeback as contemporary EVs. This is Project Thunderball by Wiesmann. Germans are renowned for producing sports cars, but a new company on the market is doing things differently. Around the turn of the century, Wiesmann created a number of powerful coupes and roadsters that combine contemporary BMW engines with retro-inspired aesthetic cues. However, it made the decision that its following vehicle would be an electric vehicle, which gave rise to the Project Thunderball prototype. It will be the first EV roadster since the first Lotus-based Tesla. The original foundation of the Wiesmann firm in 1988 may have demonstrated the presence of German humor. The business's retro line was undeniably influenced by British coupes and roadsters from the 1950s and 1960s. It even sported a radiator grille that uncannily resembled the era's toilet seat Jaguar. However, Wiesmann used modern BMW engines in contrast to the fragile electrics and sputtering motors of genuine English sports cars from the era. And starting in 2003, it started building vehicles on a cutting-edge bonded aluminum chassis that was theoretically related to the ones Lotus and Aston Martin utilized. However, Wiesmann's options ran out in 2013, which resulted in the company's bankruptcy. Later, British-Indian businessman Roheen Berry purchased the company and its assets and quickly began construction on a new Wiesmann Roadster that would continue the heritage of its forebears with a BMW V8 engine. Although you may have played with virtual versions of the automobiles in different video games, Wiesmann never officially sold their cars in the US. After Berry saved Wiesmann from bankruptcy, he set out on a go to expand the brand's reach into American markets and other international markets. Despite being around for a long time, Berry claims that because 90% of their cars were sold in Germany, they never attained widespread acclaim. Using grafted battery drivetrains, some enthusiasts have already begun building electric vehicle classics. While some of these conversions are accomplished to a high standard, others are terrifyingly subpar. When Berry made the decision to make a major shift in strategy, the automobile had already undergone a significant amount of engineering. Berry chose to switch the new model to an electric powertrain in order to avoid upcoming European limitations on pure combustion cars. Instead of obtaining parts from BMW this time, Wiesmann teamed up with technology company Roding, which has worked on a variety of vehicles, including the Mars rover and Olympic bobsleds. Crazy, huh? The development team came up with the James Bond-inspired name Project Thunderball. However, it might be changed before the vehicle debuts in showrooms in early 2024. The Wiesmann's new EV powertrain has been modified to fit the primary framework of what was intended to be the V8 vehicle. It houses a T-shaped battery pack designed by Roding Mobility in the engine compartment and what would have been the transmission tunnel. This uses a water glycol mixture to actively cool itself while running at 800 volts and supporting quick charging. Wiesmann engineers created a complex thermal management system for the battery module in order to maintain the battery pack in top condition. The modules are cooled with a water glycol mixture using a custom-built, flow-simulated, and optimized cooling plate. As soon as feasible, the heat is transferred to the module's base in this way. The 92 kWh battery pack for Project Thunderball is exclusive to Wiesmann and is located beneath the sizable front clamshell rather than on a platform like that of a skateboard to make it simpler for owners to update in the future. Wiesmann is aiming for a 310-mile range, that's around 515 kilometers on Europe's WLTP testing standard, with a reported 83 kWh of useful capacity. According to Roding, the battery pack only adds roughly 110 pounds to the weight of a V8 engine and transmission when combined. Wiesmann GmbH claims that the battery system will be capable of supporting extremely quick 300 kW DC fast charging at public stations. It uses the 22 kW inbuilt charger to recharge at home. Wiesmann explains the axial flux PM-SPE motors are in charge of all that power, and the battery modules are housed in a T-shaped container that runs along the middle tunnel and into the front of the vehicle. The battery weighs about 500 kilos, which is slightly less than other configurations of a similar size, but not much. The electric convertible sports car has two rear mid-mountain electric motors that can provide up to 500 kilowatts, 680 horsepower, and 1100 Nm of torque. This allows it to accelerate from 0 to 100 km/h in 2.9 seconds. The two mid-mountain permanent magnet synchronous electric motors are connected by a shared shaft and turn a standard limited slip rear differential. Although they have a very low maximum RPM for an EV motor of 9,000 RPM, these axial flux motors outperform conventional radial flux motors in terms of power density. Project Thunderball is said to be faster than any of Wiesmann's pre-bankruptcy products, and some of the vehicles on that list are propelled by a turbocharged variation of the V10 seen in the E60 generation BMW M5. Wiesmann claims that the vehicle will have an outstanding 670 horsepower and a completed weight of just 1,700 kilograms, 3,748 pounds. This should allow it to reach 124 mph from rest in only 8.9 seconds and to smash through the European 0 to 60 mph benchmark in a remarkable 2.9 seconds. The twin electric motors of Project Thunderball have regenerative brakes that the driver may adjust in 5 different ways to provide an engine braking effect when turning, recharge the battery, and use energy efficiency with the fewest possible resources. Another driver-focused element of the electric convertible sports car is the charge display, which instead of showing the percentage of the entire charge, indicates how quickly the car is charging. This feature enables the driver to choose the ideal charge level for each ride. Project Thunderball seems to move at a breakneck pace. Additionally, it slows down quite efficiently and offers 5 degrees of regeneration via the paddles behind the steering wheel. When approaching a turn, you can use them to imitate engine braking through the gears, or you can just select maximum regen to cruise around town on one pedal. With plenty of grip from its broad-shouldered Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires, Project Thunderball feels tense and restrained. The trade-off is a very hard suspension, possibly necessary to control all that weight and a very abrupt ride, which seems at odds with the car's long striding GT nature. Wiesmann takes pride in its interior's exquisite trimming for its clients and is again amazed at how nicely put together it is for a prototype. When it comes to design, the new two-seater from Wiesmann has an aluminum chassis covered in carbon fiber as opposed to the fiberglass used in earlier models, and it has an electric soft top that can be folded back in 9 seconds. With hand-stitched leather, exposed carbon weave, a digital driver display, and a central touchscreen, Project Thunderball's roomy, lavishly decorated interior also fuses the past and future. The inside of the electric convertible is complemented by finished carbon fiber, hand-shaped wood veneers, and high-end metal finishes. The unusual ovoid grille mirrors, for example, are reminiscent of those on the Wiesmann MF5 with a V10 engine. The headlights are integrated into eye-catching new air vent housings, but they're placed in a well-known vertical configuration. Wiesmann has attempted to display the same fusion of modernity and tradition inside, with a carbon fiber dashboard containing a sizable touchscreen and 7 analog dials with laser-etched badging. A new-look multi-function sports steering wheel is now available, as well as carbon fiber sports seats that are trimmed in the same leather as the door panels and glove box. The excessively light steering, both the history automobiles had greater weight, and the soundtrack, which is currently the unfiltered, high-pitched whine of the electric motors, are other concerns that need to be improved before 2024. In addition to having some artificial sounds blasted through the speakers, the production car will have greater sound deadening. Project Thunderball's renamed production iteration will debut in 2024 with the intention of being sold in both the US and Europe. As part of this commitment, BlackBerry has agreed to bear the expense and complexity of obtaining full federal type certification, according to some of the gaudier automotive knickknacks that the 0.01% seem glad to spend their money on. The price will be around $320,000. Barry predicts that Project Thunderball will serve as the catalyst for the automaker's growth, which will then be followed by a second sports car, also probably an electric and maybe even an SUV. In the long run, it's intended to produce 500 to 600 vehicles annually. Despite the fact that Tesla may have been here 14 years ago, Wiesmann's perspective is far more advanced. The German car manufacturer, best renowned for its hand-built, exclusive convertibles and coupes, is beginning a new phase in EV world with Project Thunderball. This unnamed, purported world's first all-electric convertible roadster is futuristic, and it has a true retro feel.